Hello, everybody. We are here again on this awesome Monday night, and we are here to help awaken your health. I'm Julie Murphy, and I wrote a book called Awaken Your Wealth. And what I've come to realize through the years is that we actually get money and wealth because of the result of addressing everything in your personal life, family life, work life. And personally, health is obviously first and foremost, and that's why I sit here every Monday night with my buddy Nam.
Oh, yeah.
Nam, tell them all about you.
I am 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, and I am here to talk about your health and the energy that is associated, because I'm also an astrologer. And I also wrote a book called Decrypting the Language of the Human Body. And, oh, shit, Victor just joined. What up, bro?
Hey,
and Dave? What's up, Dave? All right. So, yeah, Julie and I connect, and we talk about your health and your wealth and the energies that are interacting with it right now in the present moment and what to look for. And we answer your questions on however we're here to serve consciousness. Yeah. Hey, Libby, miss you too. My little niece on here too. Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
And tonight we're talking about embrace vulnerability, because ever since that full moon a week ago, holy bejesus.
Yeah. And not only that too, though, right now, today, we have a very massive transit going on. We have Mars in exact conjunction to Chiron that just turned retrograde.
Oh, talk dirty to me. No.
Yeah, you dirty little Chiron. So Chiron is also known as the wounded healer. It's hard to hear, huh? All right. Let's see. That's as high as my volume goes. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear me all right. So Chiron is the wounded healer, and it just turned retrograde, which means this deep internal wound is going within. So we can see in society around the world, actually, that we are dealing on a really deep core level with the internal victim and the internal wounded child. It's happening everywhere. In fact, it seems that the media really is playing on these archetypes of our consciousness, and it is up to us to look at it. Now, when Chiron was direct, these feelings were being projected, first and foremost out to the world. Now that it's retrograde, and especially with Mars sitting right there, Mars is the god of war, right? Mars is all about going out there. It's the divine masculine. So it sounds underwater. That's, let's see here. Is that better? I think maybe my little holder here is a little too tight. Can loosen up a little bit. Okay, let's see. Hopefully that sounds better, guys. Yeah, so Chiron going retrograde is bringing all this energy within again. And with Mars sitting there, it's like, what's up? We're going to hit ourselves a lot harder with this blame and shame and guilt. A lot of guilt and a lot of shame coming up. And I can tell you firsthand that I'm definitely, experiencing that quite a bit.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, we're all right. Awesome. It sounds better. That's beautiful. Antonio, what's up? My little nephew man, everybody's jumping on here today. Beautiful. I love it.
Good. This is good.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So with Mars being on type of Chiron, this is that like passion that we have, for life and for our purpose. It's meeting up with this deep wound, and it's mixing, it's intermingling those energies. So now we may feel, I know for me, it's been sort of feeling like I have so much passion and drive, but right now it sort of feels like aimless. Like, okay, now I know, like, I want to make shit happen. I want to move to that next level, but it's like temporarily, I don't know where to go with it. And right. when you have a disconnect from that passion, that drive, it turns into frustration. And it turns inward. It turns into like beating yourself up. Why can't I figure out this? Why can't I, find the energy to do that? Why is my head not, why can't I structure it or control it? And
but that disconnection though, what that's about is the fact that we just can't plug into the world the way that we used to. And it's about when you are allowing your heart to lead it, then you're allowing and receiving, and it's a different way to be and feel into the world. Like we feel like we're not doing anything. And that's why I feel like people feel like it's a disconnection, but yet you're actually really connecting much stronger because it's the pull energy versus the push energy.
Yeah.
And it's about not putting it out into the world. And, you know, we had talked about some things going on in both of our personal worlds, and the fact that, you know, in my world, it's just like, I literally am like, all right, this one's in your hands, universe, God. You know, I think it's all semantic, so I don't want to get into that argument with anybody.
Yeah, of course.
To me, it's just like, do you, and the universe will figure out the rest. Do you, and the universe will figure out the rest. Because when we don't do that, when we don't, you know, I always talk about building your wealth from the inside out. That if you, and that's doing it from your heart and from your passion and what you feel your purpose is. And when you don't do that, you create suffering patterns that then eventually turn up into your world, which is creating disease in your body.
Amen.
And this is where we're actually turning it, which is why I think it feels disconnected, which is why I feel that it's like not there.
Right.
And just know that the vulnerability is okay.
It is okay. And no matter how much work that you've done with vulnerability, there's always another layer. It
feels good to feel vulnerable.
There's always another layer. It's always going to keep going deeper. And it never feels better. You just learn to like recognize the cues. Like, okay, this is coming in like this. This is coming like that. That means I have to retreat, or, you know, like we have to honor it. We can't just push through. And, you know, in life, there's certain areas and times or things where, okay, well, but I have to structure this, my business, or this is a thing coming up. And sometimes, you know, like you have to trust and allow that to come to you. If you keep trying to push and push and you're just getting resistance, it's time to take it. Even like pushing in your own mind, pushing yourself mentally in certain ways. It's if you keep hitting a brick wall and just getting tired and not finding a lot of places to go, then, you know, you got to take a step back and be like, okay, look, like clearly what I'm doing is not working. So I might as well just undo what I'm doing because I still don't know what to do yet.
Right.
So the undoing is sometimes the first thing that we have to do.
Well, but I really want people to realize that, and I had this conversation with somebody today, that this is not about fixing the past. This is not about changing your patterns. This is not about anything before. This is just about, what do you want to create moving forward? Because you know what? You've been trying to fix that shit for years, and it is not working. It's not working. It's just about, stop focusing on the fact that you have to be healed, or that you're not perfect, or that there's something wrong, because that is part of the suffering cycle. That you are made in the most perfect version that you are. What the challenge that we all face is that we don't then shift to actually be who we want to create ourselves to be. Like, spend our time and our energy in the here and right now, not fixing this over here, but choosing in the moment, what do I want to create? What is it that I want to create? One of my coaches said to me when things were really hitting me pretty hard last week, said to me, Jewel, well, what would you like to create? And I was like, I teach this stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, got it. Like, Next, it's like, oh, because I walk clients through what I call the pact process. And the first step in that process is the P, picturing the life that you want to create for yourself.
Right.
And that is your compelling reason for change. Don't try to fix anything else. Don't try to go, what do you want to create? And then that pulls in all the intentions for everything else to support that picture. And just forget the rest. Yes, they're all, you know what? The day you die, your inbox is still going to be full.
True.
So just let it be full with all those things that need to be fixed, right? And just focus on what you want to create.
And sometimes what we want to create is a feeling, right? Maybe a feeling of inner peace. Maybe a feeling of just gratitude and happiness. And, you know, sometimes when that shame and that guilt's coming up, because that's in a lot of people right now, that's what 𝐾𝐼𝐿 represents. It's the shame and the guilt that is ancestral. It is deeper than just us. It is carried in our DNA through the lineage. And if you're one of the ones that is a light worker, which chances are you are, you know, carrying around that empathic vibration, then, you know, that is where that work really is. It's emotionally, it's energetic. It's not, you know, sometimes maybe you can't envision the life that you want because you're so in that other vibration. Then in that case, just focus on feeling inner peace. Do something that's going to make you appreciate the present moment.
I always tell people, I'm like, well, what's going to make you giggle? They're like, I'm talking to you about something very seriously right now. What, Jewel? Like, what do you mean giggle? I'm like,
right, change your
state. What's going to make you giggle? Like today, what made me giggle is I was sitting outside, the blanket on the grass with my kids, and my little one sat on my lap, and he looked at me and goes, Mom, how about you tickle me like yesterday? Because that was a lot of fun. I was like, okay. And so then we just started giggling, and then all of a sudden I wound up with 4 kids on my lap, and I'm tickling them all, and then they're trying to tickle me, and I'm like going, you know what? All of our vibrations just went up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and it didn't take money. It didn't take, that's the thing is like, we all think that you have to have something. I'm hoping that this quarantine has taught everybody that it doesn't take that. You don't have what it is to create that happiness, to create that giggle. Because I don't care how much money you have. I know people have $30 million net worth, and they are not happy.
That's sad.
And it's like, but everyone who doesn't have a few $1 million always thinks that once they do, they're going to finally be happy. Yeah. And that can't be farther than the truth. Because we work things out and we act it out, and we do it through our money or through our health.
Yeah, so true.
And that's why we're talking, because it either shows up on your side of the fence or it shows up on my side of the fence.
Yeah, you got that right.
No?
Even when I get in those places, I still crave junk food, and I still, you know, that's why the transformational protocol that I created, I always go back to, you know, those steps, because those are what I know works, right? You got to find something that works, and then, you know, if your impulses are taking over, go back to it. Like, this is something that we need to master within ourselves if you want to stay grounded and stay centered and be able to stay going in the right direction. And look, sometimes you need to take a break. Like, I know people like myself, I tend to like to produce. I like to make shit happen. I like to go forward. And sometimes universe just is like, nope, not the time. You got to sit down and you got to be with it. Right.
Yeah. So can you tell us more about the protocol? Like, you created this protocol. How do people get with you to go through that protocol so that, you know, you're, tell us how. Yeah.
So you go to my website, spiritualbodybuilder.com. The link is actually in my Instagram bio and on my YouTube as well. You go there and you join up. You scroll down, check out the Opportunity Community, join that. And inside the Opportunity Community is a series of 7 videos that walks you through a 4-week transformational protocol. Now, this protocol is designed to each week, you need to do 7 consecutive days. The reason is because that's how we condition ourselves, right? This is reconditioning, as opposed to the, you know, we've been conditioned a certain way throughout our life to create bad habits, right? So we have to recondition ourselves to create good habits. So it starts slow by just literally like coming into the present moment through journaling, writing down what you're feeling, what you're eating, what you're doing on a daily basis. And it's amazing that you know, to see when you start just making one little shift, one little change like that in your day, especially if you're not used to journaling and writing, what things that you notice about your habits, where your emotions correlate with your actions and activities, and your food consumption too, because food is an emotional thing, right? And then the second week we move on to the diet, and, you know, and we add in little behaviors every single week. And when you have been consistent with those behaviors every week, by the end of the 4 weeks, you will be a changed person. You will feel better. You will be in better shape. You will have more energy. You'll be sleeping better. You'll have more gratitude. It will change your life. Anybody that's on here that's in the Opportunity Community can tell you. And it's something that you can use over and over and over again, because it is designed to work with your subconscious belief systems and patterns. So,
well, and one of the things, you know, we have somebody that just said, I've completely given up on healthy eating. I could not care less about how much I weigh right now. And I will say that, you know what, I've always been the person who's had extra weight on my body. Like, that's just how I've done my processing. So mine has worked out in that. And I, you know, as you were sharing that, Nam, one of the things that came up was like, okay, so in January, you know, you ran me through this system,
Yep.
right? And I'm 40 pounds lighter for it, but I don't feel like, and I too have struggled with my weight most of my adult life. And, but one of the things that dawns on me is that I never felt like I deprived myself at all through this process. I never felt like that was a big thing for me. It's like, don't tell me, feisty Julie, that I can't do something or have something or whatever that is, whatever that trigger is inside of me.
Right.
But then it came up, I'm sitting here going, when I look at how I put clients through the PACT process, that it is dynamic in nature. Would you say that that's true too? So you get, so use me as an example. So January, February, March is when I really went through that system and made a really big impact. And I hit plateaus and I dropped, and I hit plateaus and I dropped. Like, how often do you see people go through, like my PACT process? You know, it's like, you know, you get to a certain level and then you elevate to the next one. Then you go through the PACT process again, and then you go through the PACT process again. Like, it's dynamic because you keep evavolving, you keep changing.
Right.
Exactly. Does your system work the same way?
Exactly the same way. You know, people inevitably get hit a trigger. Hit a trigger point. I found a lot of people, usually I'd say about 70% of the people get caught up in the second week stuff when I, you know, one of the rules is you have to cut out GMOs, dairy, gluten, and wheat and GMOs, right? And then eat every 3 hours, and people get so triggered. Now, eating every 3 hours does not mean that you're going to become a bodybuilder. It's most people habitually, chronically undereat. Okay. And that is why you're basically refilling the micronutrient content, and you're activating your digestive system. So that the plumbing starts working faster. It starts to make your hormones, you know, level up. But
like the
there's
opposite of every diet out there.
Right.
Like, no, I want you to eat more. I got to tell you guys, this worked like a charm. Like, I couldn't believe that. I was like, I am so sick and tired of eating. Like, I was sitting going, but I dropped like 20 pounds from doing it. It was like, holy crap. I just ate 3 to 4 times more food than I would normally eat. And I dropped all this weight. And I was like, this shit's good.
Wow.
Like,
that doesn't make any sense.
I was like, never tried this one before in my entire life. And I kind of like it because I actually like to eat.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about the way the body works, right? When you're in starvation mode, okay, all your hormones are flattened out. Your thyroid isn't doing anything. You're catabolic, okay? Like your anabolic hormones, which like are what preserves muscle and burns fat, they drop down to nothing. Everything flatlines. So we have to activate that. And once you activate it, it's like, okay, now the body can, you know, get to working, but it has to have signaling for, like, consistently for, you know, for a little bit before it kicks in. There's a lag in the response, and some people it takes a few days, some people it takes a week, right? But you stick with it. And when you stick with, and that's like with anything, right? There's going to be a detoxification phase, whether it's emotional, physical, you know, what have you, because we're in one state of conditioning and now we're shifting it to another state of conditioning. This is more favorable, right? That's why you do anything to make changes to create a favorable shift in your life. So when you're like what your friend just said there, right? But I've lost all hope. Well, that is a vibration from like guilt and shame and all these lower vibrations. She has to make the conscious decision to shift out of that. And it may just be like, okay, a guy. Okay. So, I mean, that happens a lot to guys too. Actually, especially in the fitness industry world, a lot of guys will binge eat like 2-3 days a week after a show, and then they won't eat anything. And then that'll start to cause a emotional roller coaster. Right.
I know guys like that. Yep.
So shifting into just like, okay, well, at the end of the day, just write down, you know, 500 words or something like that. Just having one thing to focus on that pulls you away from it is slowly but surely, whatever it is that you can do that muster up the energy and the motivation to do that one thing is going to turn into the next level. Okay. Now you want to try to wake up at 7 a.m. as opposed to just sleeping in the morning. Okay. Then you do that for 7 days. Okay. It can be anything that you know, you do, it could be the most minute detail, but the point is just take action on that one little thing that you can agree to within yourself to make that shift, just like financially, right?
Yeah. You know, John is saying that he knows that, but calories in, calories out doesn't work because all the calories are not created equal. This, for me,
Well, yeah,
none of this was calorie counting whatsoever.
No, there's no calorie count.
None of it. So, John, I would strongly urge you to go to spiritualbodybuilder.com and look at it, because it's not. And trust me, I've been on all the weight programs, all the everything. And, you know, all the weight on our body is unprocessed emotions. Right. Because we're building protection around ourselves. So there is something that when you follow NAM's system, it triggers the emotions so that it allows you to feel your feelings, for them to come up and out. Right. And then what it does is then you know, the weight will come off as you're dealing with whatever it is that you're not dealing in your life that's actually causing the weight to stay on. And it's vibrational and it's emotional. Mm-hmm. And so it's super important, you know, and I don't know. I've had a completely different turnaround since I've done it.
And everybody's a little bit different, because the emotions come up at different times in different ways, right? So you have to be, you know, willing to face those triggers when they come up. But when you have a fundamental structure, like something to center yourself, hold on to through the process, that is where you just constantly bring it back. You just bring it back to that one place. And the more you do it, the bigger thing, the bigger the change, the bigger the like motion, the bigger the emotion is going to come up and out. Right. And you just gain confidence through that process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to me, I think it's really important for people to know it's dynamic in nature, because like I never thought in a million years that, like, then me doing that stuff and then going through, like you had suggested for me to do colonics, because a lot of my stuff was all held in my gut. Mm-hmm. That as I was doing these colonics, like, so when you don't feel your emotions, and so I'm 47 years old. So for 47 years, Julie always just chalked it up, plowed through, got it done, didn't feel my emotions all the time. Once in a while, I'd have an overspill of emotions and it would come out as anger, right? And but literally watching that stuff actually come out from my intestinal walls, like from years of stuff. And you said to me, Jewel, like, because I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going on, but I've been doing these colonics, and I'm like, and you're like, well, some of that stuff's still floating around your system, and your lymph system's trying to get rid of it because it doesn't all come out, like it broke stuff up. Right. And literally, you guys, I was feeling these emotions that I was just like I didn't even know why I was sad. I didn't even know. I'm like going, what, am I going through puberty again and getting my period again? Like, what the hell is this? But it was all, and you reminded me that it was just the emotions that were literally physiologically coming out of my system. And I just had to feel feelings. You know, I've talked to, I've done a lot of work with 𝐾𝐻𝐸, who's considered an enlightened being, and energy work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he always says, the only way to the other side is to feel your emotions.
You gotta feel it.
But you gotta, we've gotta like layer it off, because are your emotions in your debt levels with your money? Because that's where it shows up the most with money. Mm-hmm. Or is it, in your body, your physical body? Like, where have you stuffed and stored these emotions that you've just not been choosing to feel? Mm. And that's kind of what this quarantine has done to all of us. It's kind of forced us to be in the state of going, we're going to stick a mirror up to your face, and we're going to show you that, let's see what you've created in your life, and do you like it or do you not like it? Mm. Right.
And speaking of that, some other astrological aspects that we have moving into, actually, it just went exact today, and it's going to be lasting for about the next 2 weeks throughout the new moon in Cancer. Is we have the sun in Cancer right now, in the third decan, which is the third section of the 10 degree. There's 30 degrees in each sign, so the third decan is the last part. It's like the mastery aspect of that particular sign. And we have, of course, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in the third decan of Capricorn. So the sun. So back in January, February, we had the sun conjuncting all these signs. Now the sun is opposing all these signs. So all this stuff that was happening and between like December 25th and January 19th, really, all that stuff which is basically what started all this crazy shit in the world, right? That's where it all started to pop off.
Yeah.
Now we're taking a look from the other side, so it's hitting us from the outside looking in as opposed to from the inside coming out. So we're seeing the opposite side of these energies now, and it is going to be like fucking.
Is that the difference of like, so before it was the divine feminine that it was clearing out, now it's the divine masculine that's coming the next 6 months?
Well, yes, but it's not because of that reason. The divine masculine is clearing out now because it's going to be. We had Venus retrograde. Venus and Mars, the divine masculine, divine feminine, right? So we already had our
Mars, women are from Venus. Got it.
Exactly. So we already had our Venus retrograde, okay, in April, May, and June. Okay, so now we're getting ready to have our Mars retrograde. Mars will go retrograde in September to November. It actually goes direct right around the time that the elections happen, interestingly enough. And Mars will be in Aries, which is his home sign, which, you know, rules the divine masculine, basically.
Wow.
Until, I believe, it's January 11th. So this next 6 months is clearing out that divine masculine, and it's getting us, like, catapulting us into this next, like, it's going to be intense, it's going to be passionate, it's going to be, you know, driven. It's going to be like, you know,
I do pretty good.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's so fun. You know, I'm all about the
Well, and to me, as I'm going through the it's really about, like, how do I then continue to improve on my physical self, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and because this is where it's showing up for so many people. Like, I know a lot of people whose health is significant. Take coronavirus out of it.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people are declining health-wise pretty flippin' fast right now.
Yeah, it's all the emotional, energetic, like they're not allowing themselves to open up and to grow. Like they're getting caught up in the bullshit. That, and I mean, the real virus is the fear. It's the mainstream media, like, promoting all this bullshit.
I have to tell you, fear, I'm with you on that one, because I am watching really good people, like, chop my head off for talking about the things that I'm talking about. I'm going, but you're coming from a place of fear that you're afraid. And at what point do we stop living from a place of fear? Because fear doesn't fix anything. It just creates more problems.
Exactly.
And, you know, I'm just a real big believer, like, particularly with this virus, that we got to build our immune systems. Build your immune system.
Exactly.
That is the best thing that you can do.
Bottom line.
I don't think sticking a mask on my face 24/7 is going to do that.
No, in fact, you know, right now, I did some schooling for my microscopy a few years ago, right? And we were talking about how in the world right now, the level of oxygen in the air is declining slowly. It's at about 21%. Like 50 years ago, it was at about 26, 27%, right? So we're already ingesting all these toxic crap from all, like, the chemicals and the fossil fuels burning and whatnot. So our body requires at least, I believe it's 19.5% oxygen in order to be able to function naturally without degradation. And I don't know if you see any of these videos going around, but they're showing that when you wear the mask, it drops down to about 15.5% within seconds. Literally within seconds. So you are literally depriving your body of oxygen, which creates oxidative stress, which actually beats up the immune system. So, and I've actually even heard stories of people dying in the gym from exerting too much force and passing out while they're working out. And if you have any kind of preconceived health issue, you're fucked. Like, they're propagating this and people are dying. And like it's going to take people going to Congress and, like, people stepping up and making movements from this. But it's, by the time that happens, the people that are abiding to this are already going to have more significant health issues just from wearing it alone.
Well, and I do believe that it's a process, right? And so as people move through their fear, as people move through their concerns, and as we learn more about what's working and what's not working, I mean, the bottom line is we just have to work on our immune system.
100%. Exactly. And And, you know, like this day and age, immune systems are already like compromised from like a majority, like from the pharmaceutical industry, from years of, you know, taking pharmaceutical drugs and vaccines, especially, you know, like even aspirin and NSAIDs are like terrible for the gut. You know, the GMOs in the food destroy the gut. Like all these things play a factor. So there are so many people that are borderline, especially the ones that have not taken care of their health. You know, it's acting out. And right now we have a very thin line, my friends. We have to really be careful. And it boggles my mind that there's maybe 2 or 3 people out there. I think Dr. Shiva and Dr. Buttar are 2 people that are really talking about boosting your immune system and how to, create a healthy environment in there. But for the most part.
So that really goes back to what we were kind of saying earlier, that we have to create our lives, right? So the way we create our lives is like, okay, the pandemic's here. Okay, it's here. But don't focus on all of that. Focus on like right now, here, right now. What do you do the best for you? Take care of you, and the universe will take care of the rest. And how do you impact you and your family and your loved ones? And you know what? Your loved ones may not even agree with you. So just take care of you, really, because you living by example and being okay through this process and not being in fear and boosting your immune system and doing the things that will get you position. I always say position yourself to be lucky in how this then shakes out for you on an individual, which then hopefully will positively affect then those around you because of how you're choosing to handle things. Because, you know, the people who are getting triggered by all this stuff and getting whacked out, that's lowering your immune system. And even from an emotional processing perspective, if you are triggered, that just means, and we've talked about this before on this show, that you're just triggering your traumas in your amygdala. Traumas from your past, from your childhood. If you are triggered by anything going on right now, I don't care if it's COVID or politics or this, that, or the other thing. If you're triggered, you're lowering your immune system.
Boom.
So how do you get yourself, and I'm not saying not have your opinion. That's what a lot of people are mistaking this by.
Yeah.
It's that absolutely have your opinion. But can we talk about this from a place of love and grace and ease?
That'd be nice.
Yeah. And find this place of, you know what? Here's what I'm saying just to consider. And maybe you're considering something else, but have it come from this place of let's educate each other. Right. And you don't have to agree on the other end. But why would you kill your immune system with this push energy like, you motherfucker, because that's what people are doing.
Yeah, that expression right there is priceless.
Yeah, I like, but this is what people are doing to each other. And I'm watching and witnessing these beautiful souls that I've known for years, and I'm going,
like,
why are you doing this? Like, because all it's doing is lowering your own immune system. You know, and again, I'm not telling you to not have a voice. I absolutely feel that you have to have a voice. God knows I have my voice. But we do it in this place of just holding space. You know, I have 4 kids, and I'm always trying to teach them going, no, it's okay that Bridget says this, and Michael says this, and Mary Kay comes in and tries to annihilate them all. And I'm like, no, like, you all have 3 different perspectives, 3 different truths, and we all live in the same house, so we have to find the collaborative model.
That's beautiful.
But that's what we have to do as a world, because we're all being affected here, and you're not going to necessarily find it overnight. But I just want people what I want people to hear about my little soapbox right now is the fact that you lower your immune system when you pretty much are going after somebody and calling them a motherfucker for having a different opinion.
Yep, you got that right.
And this is what needs to just slow down. Like, come on, peeps.
Well, you know, if you look at the leaders of the world, right? These people can't even have healthy debates or discussions anymore. It's such a divided energy. So it's almost like we have to teach them how to do that when they're the ones that are supposed to be setting the example. But since they're not doing it, we should. And I know that you shouldn't should yourself, but still.
Well, it's like I'm sitting here the other day. I actually, I'm the money person, right? And
Yes,
I got really, really, actually almost sad because we really needed this one package for Congress to put through to help things move economically to the next place.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what was added to that bill?
What?
That every congressman and woman got a $43,000 pay raise over the next 36 months.
What?
And nowhere, no how is that being talked about anywhere.
Wow.
And slid it in underneath a freaking emergency for this country.
That's some.
And if most Americans knew that that happened, they would
freak
be
out.
Absolutely livid.
Yeah.
Why is it that the average, and I'm not saying this from a place of, why are you doing the hooray for me and fuck you? Like that is just not okay. That's not loving. It's not it's not being collaborative with the rest of Americans.
No.
It's not, it's saying, oh my gosh, this whole thing's gonna flip when we have elections, so we better get our take.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We want to approve this thing to go through to help the whole American people. But when every household got a $1,200 stimulus check and you're getting $43,000 over the next 3 years, how is that okay? I'm sorry. Nobody in my corporation or other corporations are getting those kind of pay raises in this kind of environment.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Why should the politicians? I'm not, please, everyone, don't get angry about this. Do not get angry. What I'm saying is all we have to do is understand, like, support and put your intentions to what you want us to create in the future.
Yeah.
Like, don't get mad at so much that they did it, but I think it's about the fact that we need to just be proactive and say, you know what? We actually don't need people in there that do that anymore.
No, we don't. We need to get them.
And it's time. And I don't, you know what? Honestly, I'm a switch hitter. I don't go Republican or Democrat. I bat for both sides.
Yeah.
And I do. I go from one side to the other depending on what year it is. And but nobody should be doing that.
No, absolutely not.
That's just not okay.
No, I agree. It's definitely not okay. And that's where, like, there's so much corruption. I think, and with all this stuff coming out, like, it's infuriating, but the fact is it's always been going on. Now that it's coming out, we're finally in the know about it. So let's do something about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the process with the purging.
And figure the rest out. Like, and we have to stop the polarity stuff. It's not Democratic, Republican, forget it. We just want people in there that are collaborative. That are people good there. You know what? People. I heard this thing. It was Ben Carson and Steve Harvey, how they're collaborating. So they're on both sides of the fence, Democratic and Republican, and they're working on the housing authority stuff, because they both grew up in the projects, but they both have two very, very different views. And I just gotta love Ben Carson for one of the things that he said. And again, I'm not on any side of the fence, but I love the fact that he was just like, you know what? The only way we get to the other side is by having our adversary be part of the solution and part of the team to create it. So true. And I just thought that was beautiful. Yeah. And this is what we need moving forward. Yeah, like, just this kind of, like, I can come from a different viewpoint than you, and the finance world is full of all kinds of stuff like that, and that's why I'm bringing, and you and I always talk about it's the divine masculine versus the divine feminine. It's like, we all can weave this into our lives, in our own daily lives, like merge this masculine and feminine so that we do stay healthy and we do keep our immune systems up, because it really all trickles down to that. Like, I can tell you, I've watched people, like, do these kind of things that Congress just did, and within a couple of months of them getting out of office, guess what? Their disease is going to create in their body, and all the crappy things they did, karma comes right back and bites them right square in the ass. That's
true, and that's what we have to remember about all this stuff going on. So that karma is being paid back tenfold, bitches. Tenfold. Yeah. So if you're a good person doing good things, moral and ethically sound, and raising that vibration and doing your part for humanity, because that's what, the Age of Aquarius is all about. It's about the humanitarian in us all. So you're doing the right thing, and things are going to come back to you. And that way, you have to go through the process of having faith, of being true to yourself, of opening your heart, being vulnerable. Vulnerable is right now is where it's at. Totally.
Which is not a comfortable place for so many people.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Because as we unpack to become more vulnerable, we realize how much we've built up our walls around our hearts.
Yeah. Ain't that
because
true?
we've made so many decisions from our minds.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know what it feels like to actually be open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so give yourself some space. Like if in the now you need to actually like unplug from things you normally would plug into, do it. Because you need that space to figure out how to now navigate in a more heart conscious way in the world so that it doesn't affect your health.
Amen. A to the man.
Yeah. It's interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how these next few weeks unpack for people.
You got that right. Especially, with this new moon, we're having a second new moon in Cancer, right? And so, which is significant because that doesn't happen often. And it's going to be at a master's degree. It's going to be at 28 degrees, which is like sort of right now it's time to master this energy. And what does Cancer represent? It represents emotions. It represents what we want, what we desire in our heart to have. It represents the home. It represents family, virtues, all these things. Genevieve just said, I'm overly vulnerable and always feeling my emotions. I need to chill. And, I don't really think it's possible to be overly vulnerable per se. I think that signifies loose boundaries.
Yes.
I think that means that you need to establish healthier emotional boundaries. That is taking a look at your vulnerabilities or looking at the things that feel weak or feel like people are pulling on your heartstrings and become stronger in your love for yourself. And that's looking at your shame and guilt within. So, oh shit, my my Instagram just stopped, just turned off. That was weird.
Minor technicalities. Weird.
Yeah, that was trippy. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it back on here. Sorry, guys. I guess Mercury just went direct, so it's still having some Mercury retrograde, issues.
Yeah, I see here that you just started a live video again.
Woo! Yay. Okay. Sorry, guys. That was weird and interesting. It just shut off me out of nowhere. So thank you guys for jumping back on. And thank you guys for, being patient with me. I appreciate you.
No worries. But you know what, when you're saying about being vulnerable and that being over emotional, but really what it boils down to, you're right in terms of the boundaries, big time.
Yeah.
We have to understand that if we are feeling very emotional, that's typically because we're not feeling fulfilled in life.
Yeah.
Which means that we're building our life from the outside in, not the inside out. So those are unmet. When you have emotions, that means you have an unmet need. Like I will say to my kids, I'm going, Michael, you're very emotional right now. I go, and you're not being nice to mom. I go, which means you have an unmet need. So tell me what your unmet need is, sweetheart.
Oh, I like that.
And my kids have now gotten to a place that when I ask them that question, what is your unmet need? Then all of a sudden they can step back and they'd be like, I'm just sad that so-and-so said this. I'm like, okay, would you like a hug? And I give them a hug and then they move on. But how many of us adults actually have been given this space?
Right.
So if you're feeling yourself over emotional, ask yourself, what is your unmet need? What is your unmet need? You're likely having people in your life that you have expectations how they should be showing up for you in a certain way, but they can't because that's just not who they are. And so you have a disconnect between what your expectations are and who they are. And it's wiring that into your emotional system. Right. And it's really just about maybe you have to get clear on what your personal needs are. Going, I'm emotional because my needs are not being met. And so maybe you need to walk away from those relationships.
Yeah, maybe. They say that expectation is the root of all suffering, right?
Yeah.
So you
recognize that it's okay to just move forward.
Right. Exactly. Like, okay, I need to give myself this because clearly,
Right.
you know, it's not right to expect it from someone else.
Right.
So we have to, and that takes brutal honesty. Sometimes like, oh, fuck, I've been doing this to myself. All along, it's been me. It's all my fault. But you know what? Don't beat yourself up for it. You know, just okay,
Right.
take responsibility for it. This is all identifying victim consciousness in our consciousness in our life. Where are we playing the victim to ourselves?
Well, and you said at the beginning of our show here today that with Chiron going retrograde, that it's the eternal victim is coming out.
Yes,
right?
it is.
And so if you are feeling that way and it's affecting you health-wise from an emotional perspective, well, don't let it get to the point that it hits a crisis, you know, in your physical body,
Yeah.
you know, because when you're weak on the emotional side, because there's the fourfold being, right? There's the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Yeah.
And if your emotions are off, then it affects the physical, then it affects the mental, and then, you know, so you just have to start to build that muscle with those boundaries. I think you're spot on, Nam. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yay.
But and just ask yourself, what are my unmet needs? What are my unmet needs? And if you go back to the fact that you're a creator of your life and what do you want to create?
Right.
You know, you're not creating the life that you want, which is why you have unmet needs, which is why you have emotions.
You keep it simple.
Yeah.
The more we're running around our mind, the more complicated it is, the more it feels like we just cannot find an answer. That's when you just gotta stop. Do not pass go. Take a step back. Maybe do some combo. I don't know.
Do I get to collect $200 if I pass go? Like on Monopoly?
I mean, you're creating the game that you're playing, so you know, you decide. Right? Oh yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and this vulnerability thing's not going to go away because we're learning how to live our lives from heart-based consciousness.
Yes, and you know that's a big lesson. There's many layers to it, you know, and I think that sometimes when this vulnerability stuff comes up, it can feel that maybe you're going backwards or you know you got some shit going on. So you know you gotta just go into it.
Yeah, so
just
true.
Let it be okay.
Or do things like you said, let it be. Like, all right, turn on the Beatles and play the song "Let It Be." Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Yeah, let it be.
Beautiful.
But we want to always fix it and control it.
Yeah, no, we do. I mean, life is set up to sort of, you know, be that way. That's our impulse, and that's why we need to be able to keep those impulses in check with reconditioning ourselves to have better habits. And so when you have that system, that's, you know, the more you do it, the more ingrained it is in your experience, and you learn to turn your instincts around. You learn to identify your instincts and stop in its tracks, take a step back. Okay, no, I'm gonna go this way. Right? So it's like learning to take your impulses and sort of putting a rein on them. So like, yes, impulses are going to come up, they're going to happen, but don't react from your impulses, respond from the processing of the impulses, which takes a lot of practice to do.
Well, and I guess don't get discouraged that it's that much. I mean, I remember Deepak Chopra saying to me, you got to become the observer of your life. And yeah, it's that point. It took me years to do that.
Right.
You know, because I got better at it every day, but don't beat yourself up because you haven't perfected it, because you've lived so many years without doing it that you just have to get to a place where, you know, you're allowing yourself to get to that state of neutrality. And but there's that's where you have to pull in the tools. And that's why I always tell people, like, that's why my website, I have at juliemurphy.com, I have a toolbox, you know, for tools to help people, you know, whether it's referring you to somebody to do breath work or somebody to do the health work with you or doing energy work, you know. I don't know if I told you, but I'm going to start doing these energy sessions with a friend of mine from Sedona. It's going to be Awaken Your Spirit. And so that people can start to energetically increase their vibration by aligning more with their soul and activate their souls and what they're here to do. We're going to be doing it on Tuesday mornings.
Tuesday mornings. What
8 a.m.
time?
Central. 8 a.m. Central.
8 a.m. Central. So that's 6 a.m. Pacific.
I know.
Oh boy,
I get
early.
it. You know, I know.
But if you're up at 6 a.m. down here on the West Coast, check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Being in Chicago, it's like, you know, you try to do it balanced for both coasts, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can always watch them later. You don't necessarily have to be up, and you still get the energy if you watch them later.
True. Yeah.
It's not like they, you know, it's not like they go bad. I mean,
right. That's the good thing of being able
to.
That's the good thing about being able to do videos online, so that, you know, you can always stay tuned in.
Yeah, for sure. That is for sure.
Amen.
But it's so important for everyone just to know that it's okay that you're wherever it is that you're at right now, that's totally okay. Because even though you and I are teachers, it still comes up for you and I.
Oh yeah. You're not, I mean, every good teacher is always also a student, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're always learning, always growing. There's always, you know, more to grow and do.
Right. Well, it's like peeling an onion, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It tastes a little bit better than an onion, I think.
Well, a metaphorical, multi-dimensional onion, if you will.
Yeah. So why don't you tell everyone about your new course coming up? I think that's an important thing to share.
My astrology course.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. You know, actually, I am looking for ideas. If any of you have anything that you'd like to see in these courses, and what would you pay for an astrology course? So I'm going to teach it in the unique way that I like to address astrology, is basically like, you know, breaking down the meanings of the houses and the planets. Level 1 is going to be the houses and planets, and level 2 will be the aspects. And then I was thinking level 3, I'm going to work, you know, together with you to really start to break down, understand how to channel the energies by looking at your own birth chart and understanding, you know, your own consciousness at a deeper level, if you will, because that's how I learn, right? I learn by learning myself through my own stuff, and the deeper you understand yourself, the deeper you understand other people if you're reading the energy. Yeah. So shoot some ideas at me. How much would you pay for the course? All right. You are the happiest in life when you live life for yourself and those you love instead of a random stranger. So yeah, buddy. Yes, I agree. But why would you love a random stranger? I don't really. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Well, I guess you can pull that into the fact that we are all one, right?
We are all one for sure.
And so whatever it is that you know, connect with one person is, you know, it's all vibration.
Yeah. So whatever you're feeling within, you're gonna draw that from outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like attracts like.
Exactly. So I think attempting to give someone else more than what you have, I think that's more of attachment, not love.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Attachment to the external, and that comes along with the victim mentality, right?
Right. Well, and can I share? So I have a new course that's coming out. So take a look towards it's gonna be towards the end of this month. That going to be about a course that you can walk yourself through the pact process. I've got all these a workbook and worksheets and everything to help you dream the new dream and get to that reality. And I have a comprehensive course and I have a mini course, so you can pick whichever path works for you better, because it really is time for all of us to start to embody and live from this place of what I call real wealth, which is addressing the stuff like we're talking about here, from awakening your health and your spirit and your work life and your family life, that you really can have the life of your dreams. But most of us don't know how to get out of our own way to actually create that. And so this is why I've created this coursework to help people, you know, get through. No different than your tool in your astrology course, it's another tool for that you can use to help understand more of who you are and how to apply that to the world and channel the energies. And it's about just what part resonates with you, so that you can get to this next place. Because as all this energy and all this infrastructure changes continues to happen in your communities and in your states and in the United States and the world, you know, at large, that the change is not going to stop. This stuff's going to keep unpacking for the next year and a half at least.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In a big way. And so you really got to just focus on the stuff that gets you to this next place. And you're going to continue to watch people that you love and care about struggle on another level. And the best way that you can help them is to work on you. And so you have to pull in those things, whether it's NAMS, astrology course, or opportunity community, or go to my toolbox at juliemurphy.com and pull in some of the other resources that I work with, because you don't have to do this by yourself.
No.
Find those other people who are shining bright lights and connect with them, because it's time to be supported. It's time to not feel like you're on your own island with all of this stuff, because otherwise, there's a lot of negative stuff out there as well, and you don't want to get hooked by that stuff, because you'll be in a suffering cycle again.
Yeah, and it is very right in your face right now. So it's really easy if you're undecided, or if you're sort of back and forth with how you're feeling, or just not secure in your own heart. You can be pulled into these directions so freaking easy. You have to make the conscious decision to go in a direction of support. And Crystal's saying, the support is so important. It helps pull the shit, helps pull you out when you're, in that place of darkness. Right? Like, you need people that you can count on that are not going to judge you for, moving through shit. And Julie, you've been a huge support for me, and vice versa. Yeah. And my opportunity community, man, every time we have a meeting, it's like we're all supporting each other. And I mean, shit, that's been a huge support system for me, just as much as I've been supporting, them. So I love you guys, by the way. Shout out to the opportunity community. I love all you guys. Thanks for being there with me.
And go check it out if you're looking for that support. We'll all find things that resonate differently. And to me, that's why, I'm really being driven to really create this series of Awaken Your Relationships that I have on Thursday mornings. I have Awaken Your Health here on Monday nights, and I'm having Awaken Your Spirit be on Tuesday morning.
Killing it.
It's these tools and resources just to kind of help you get to this next place, so life doesn't feel like a pile of poop as we go through all this structure change.
A pile of poop.
A pile of poop. Yeah. Sorry, can you tell that I have little kids?
Yeah, right.
Mom, will you wipe my butt? No, I won't. I said, will you wipe my butt? And he's like, no. I'm like, then I ain't wiping yours.
Yeah, nobody wants to wipe anybody's butt. Damn it.
No. But we got to get back to the laughter and
you're right.
The strain, and it's like, okay, come on, we deserve it. We deserve the giggle. Find your giggle. Love yourself enough to find your giggle.
Find your giggle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nam, you want to tell them where they can find you at?
You can go to my website, spiritualbodybuilder.com. And you can download my free ebook. Like I said, the word free, it's free. Okay. Decrypting the language of the human body. And you can join the opportunity community. And I do spiritual health coaching and astrology readings. So check it out. How about you, Julie?
Yeah. So you can find me at juliemurphy.com, and you can sign up for my 7 tips to get you on your way to a better financial world. And then it'll also, by signing up for the 7 tips, it will, as my mini course and the full comprehensive course unpack here in the next couple weeks, then you'll be alerted when and you'll have access to all the toolbox stuff.
Beautiful. So, let me tell you guys, Julie's book, Awaken Your Wealth, changed my life. 100% changed my life. I definitely recommend reading it, because she goes there's an emotional connection, like a behavioral pattern to our wealth. And it's some of the littlest, tiniest things that I never would have guessed in a million years that were blocking me, that I actually went into. And it had nothing to do with making money either. Nothing to do with it. And I did these things that suddenly, boom, it just starts happening. I'm like, oh, okay.
And we got to remember, the money is the result of those things.
Right. Yeah.
The money's not going to come unless you have the result.
yeah, exactly. So definitely recommend checking that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Julie, I love you. Thank you very much.
I love you too. And thanks everybody for coming. And we'll see you guys next Monday.
Yes.
8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific. Bye, everybody.
See you guys next week.